All right. Thank you all for listening in this morning, and hopefully everyone's staying safe and warm out there. I'm going to present Kova leads our team. She built the core from the ground up at the very beginning and has since developed many protocols and is continuously acquiring state-of-the-art equipment for us. And we'll kind of go into that more recently with our IVIS and CT as our most recent instruments that she obtained. I am the Animal Imaging Core Manager. I've been with the Core for 5 years, and I am a certified veterinary technologist by training. And I've been, I guess, professionally trained by each vendor for each imaging modality. So cross-trained in all modalities. And then I also do training for the Core and oversee all the day-to-day operations. Jenna Nault is also a certified veterinary technologist. She just started with our Core a month ago, but she's been with the university for 5 years now. And we're grateful to have her on our team, and she adds a lot of expertise in animal handling and helping us develop protocols for new imaging ideas. Aya Al-Kassi, she is a PRA in our Core and is cross-trained in MRI, IVIS, NMR, and does some body composition analysis for us. It's been nice having her. As our team is growing, we're able to have a higher turnaround for services, and that's been really great. Anna DeShutter, she joined us in the summer of 2021, and she is also a PRA, works part-time, and has assisted in CT, MRI, and analysis as well. We do have also some Core support staff that I'll introduce here. Dr. Joy Lazinski, she's our go-to person for any animal protocols and procedures. And we have Andrew Holleran. He is our radiation safety officer with the Environmental Health and Safety Group for any of our pet studies. And Melissa Card, she's also a certified veterinary technologist that works in OLAR, and she is also a great source for novel animal protocols and animal handling ideas. Next slide, okay. Our imaging equipment is located in RC1 North Vivarium. Behind the barrier, so it's badge protected, and you need to gain access in order to get down there. We do imaging services for groups also in RC2, and will soon be doing services for groups in the new Anschutz Health Sciences building. There's an underground corridor that connects all the buildings, and that's how we're able to transfer mice from room to room. Our hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And those specific hours also match the dark light cycle of the animals. So we don't like to disturb them before their waking hours or sleeping and after their sleeping hours. So we are flexible though during those 14 hours. So if there's an emergent imaging need, we're happy to accommodate, and including holidays and weekends, we're also flexible too there. So why choose our animal imaging shared resource? We are the only comprehensive animal imaging core in Colorado and the Rocky Mountain region. So that allows us to work with many groups, not only local, but also nationwide. Yeah, it's been great being able to work with all these different groups. We've also worked with a group overseas too, so they're coming from all areas. Another item to point out that's unique about our core is that we have worked with OLAR and IACUC and developed our own master imaging protocol. So maybe if your IACUC doesn't necessarily cover a certain imaging modality, if there's an emergent need, we can transfer that animal to our protocol and then image it for you. And that's worked out really well, and it's come in handy many, many times. And then what also is great about animal imaging is that it's non-invasive. So that's great for longitudinal studies. It's a whole body approach, and translational, which is the only thing that we strive for. And the animal itself can, I guess, what am I trying to say? The animal itself can act as its own control as well as its treatment group too. So again, going back to that translational approach. For our oversight and users, our internal advisory board, it consists of a great diverse group, I should say, of expertise. Dr. Agarwal, Dr. Borden, Dr. Gustafson, and Dr. Sartorius. And we're very grateful to have their guidance and the core's best interests in the forefront. So we work closely with them for any of our core needs and yeah. And then our major users for our core, I just listed what imaging modality they focus on, just so that you could see optical imaging, or IVIS, is highly used, and that really plays into the fact that it's self-ran. So we train users to use the instrument, and then it's high throughput as well. So optical is definitely our largest instrument use there. And I'd say that's followed next in part by MRI, then CT, and NMR work as well. And as far as grants and publications go, since 2006, the Animal Imaging Shared Resource Corps has supported over 123 PIs, 215 peer-reviewed publications, 77 R01s, and 7 workshops. So we're definitely making a huge impact out there. And then we've also received over 10 million in funds through shared instrumentation grants, NSF grants, and CERT grants as well. Going into the services that we provide, of course, for each imaging modality, so we have MRI, micro CT, PET CT, and then the IVIS in vivo imaging, as well as NMR, and then we help with the other, I guess, technical areas. So for study design and IACUC amendments, we work with researchers from the very start of a project, making sure that they're choosing the correct imaging probe or correct imaging modality so that they get started on the right foot. We also offer guidance with IACUC amendments, helping with that verbiage and making sure that all items are considered. And then we have pre-approved SOPs for each imaging modality. So IACUC has already looked over the steps of that SOP and have approved it, so we can hand it then to the researcher and copy and paste it into your IACUC, and you'll be covered there. So we found that that's also very helpful for groups. We use iLab scheduling as our scheduling and billing platform. That has really streamlined things for us. We love it, and it's been very easy to work with. We also offer quantitative analysis. So for users that don't either want to perform their own analysis or don't have the expertise or the time to perform their own analysis, we will take that on for you. And you know, we are constantly working on new analysis protocols, but we definitely have a lot in place already that we do every single day. We also help with grants, publications, and reports. So for any users that need help with that, we are able to offer our expertise. We do all animal handling for the imaging modalities that our core ran. And we also offer, as I said before, that equipment training for those modalities that the researcher can do on their own. So IVUS and CT. We also do educational and imaging workshops. Usually every year, well, pre-COVID, but hopefully this year we'll be able to as well. We offer a imaging workshop that goes over each imaging modality. We bring in experts of all kinds, and they kind of go over applications and analysis with those that are that attend. We usually have to cap the attendance because we have such a great outcome, but we'll likely be sending some information out on that here shortly for the fall. And then we also have vendors visit us on campus that go over the instrument applications and analysis as well. And that's usually on a yearly basis too. For the services and equipment that we offer, as I mentioned before, we have our MRI, CT, PET CT, IVUS spectrum. We actually have two IVUSes, an older model, the IVUS 200, and then the newer IVUS spectrum. And then we have our NMR metabolomics as well. With our MRI, we have and are still continuously developing new imaging protocols and analysis protocols. It's something that is never ending, and that's what makes this core great. And you know, each day is different, so we love that. We do have two CTs, the older model, which Dr. Sirkova just replaced with the quantum CT, and then our PET spec CT. Those instruments are also outdated, but we are in the works of replacing those. Those were original to Dr. Sirkova opening the core. With our IVUS spectrum and IVUS 200, we have the 200 that is still in use, and we will likely be handing that over to an ABSL group so that they can do infectious imaging on it. And then we'll just have the IVUS spectrum for our general use. And for our NMR metabolomics, we have extraction labs in RC2, and then we run those samples on the 400 magnet in the SCAGS building. With all of the different multimodality options that we have for users, it's important to know which instrument is going to be best for the user study. And we work closely with them to make sure that they're on the right track with that. So each imaging modality is going to give you a different answer as far as an inside look, whether it's specific tissues, organs, or structures inside the body. And here are a few examples of our MRI work. So we have on the top left with our image from the 4.7 Tesla MRI. That's our old magnet that was decommissioned. You can see the difference between that one and the one right next to it from our 9.4 Tesla MRI. It's you know, impeccable resolution. It's phenomenal. Never gets old looking at those great resolution images from our new 9.4 Tesla. We also can do MRI angiography. We have T2 mapping images, so our T2 weighted imaging there. And then we are able to do tumor vascularity, our mouse brain micrometastasis with our spions, so injecting the mice with our iron oxide contrast, and then those mets uptake that contrast, and we're able to see, you know, difference between our baseline imaging versus the post contrast, and then functional MRI as well. And kidneys, kidneys there on the top center. So we have a large kidney project as well with renal cysts. Our micro CT. So we have the ability to scan a large field of view. So again, that whole body imaging. And then we also have the ability to shrink that down to an 18mm field of view for our ex vivo imaging, which gives us down to 4 micron resolution. So again, we have numerous projects. I would say our most common ones are going to be lung and bone. And that's due to the high contrast of that, the soft tissue and bone there with the CT. Optical imaging. So as I said before, we have a lot of groups that are doing projects in this area. We have bioluminescence imaging and fluorescence imaging options. So again, depending on the user's research, if they want to do a biochemical approach with the luciferase and have luciferin expressing cells, you are able to track that from day 0 and on. So again, translational, high throughput, and very easy to use once you've gone through that training with us. We also do PET studies, sorry. And some of our major applications are with FDG PET. So looking at that tumor uptake, and then we've done an FES PET study as well. And you can see there that it was highly uptook. And then dynamic PET, so that entails scanning the mouse from the time of injection on, so you're able to get those dynamic frames from the very start to see how that metabolizes. We do have future plans to acquire an ultrasound for the core. It is a piece of equipment that is being more and more requested and is just a missing piece of our package. So we are working with Drs. Buttrick and Cavison to get that piece of equipment. We have groups that are doing pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, liver mets, thyroid, renal, cancer angiogenesis, and then targeted microbubbles. So we already have a large interest, and we're excited to get the ball rolling on that. A couple examples of our CT analysis. So as I said before, mouse, not just mouse, but lungs in general are a huge application for CT imaging. So with our instrument and software, we're able to segment that those tissues, and we are able to give lung volume, if METs are present, quantifying those. We're able to look at vasculature, airways, lumen wall distance and thickness, and then also tissue density. Another example on our CT analysis is for bone. Again, we can segment those different bones, and if we're looking at a specific one, we can target that, and then we're able to pull information such as trabecular and cortical microarchitecture, and that has been a very highly used application as well. An example of our tumor, our MRI analysis. So we work with groups, lots of neuro-oncology groups, and this is an example of an epidemioma, and you can see on the different slices that we have tumor present there, so we're able to quantify each slice, and then given the slice thickness, we're able to tell the tumor volume for that particular mouse. We also look at tissue density, so the ADC, and we're able to give that as a readout as well. For our past and future educational opportunities, this just highlights things that we've done in the past, and then, as I mentioned before, that we are hoping to do an animal imaging workshop in CU Boulder this fall. But we really strive to make sure that we educate those and are able to utilize our core as much as possible.